Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, everyone. So let's wait for some time. Let's people join. So I'll start the course. Please wait for some time. Then I'll start the session. Hello, hello. Good evening, everyone. Welcome again to another session of Java programming, and I am your instructor, Dr. Vivek Uprit, and I hope you all are doing well. And last video you have watched what we discussed in last lecture. Okay, so lastly we discussed the concept like what is J2EE, what is J2AC, what is J2ME. Okay, a lot of discussion we did in last video. Okay, like in yesterday we discussed about how to install Java, what is the step we need to follow for installing a Java, right? Although practical implementation is still left, so I'm going to implement all these things practically in today's session, don't worry. Okay, then most importantly we discussed like how many ways to set path. Okay, there are two different ways. Okay, we discussed like set path temporary and how to set path permanently, right? What is the difference between these two? Like if we set a path temporary, then every time we have to set path again and again. But if we'll go permanent path, so that it will only once, and then later on you will use the same path for your all the programs, right? So that was the discussion what we did in last video, right? So last lecture, okay, I have a screen like we discussed about IDE concept, like what is IDE. Okay, anyone, what is IDE, full form of IDE? Okay, because you know earlier 5 minutes we'll discuss what we studied in last video. So I hope most of you attended the last one. So what is IDE? Anyone? What is IDE? What is the full form? Please type fast. Yes, it's a integrated development environment, what we discussed in last time. Okay, because earlier Java don't have any type of environment where editor, compiler and interpreter all works together, right? Right now we have a multiple Java IDE environment, like we have a VS Code, we have a NetBeans, we have a Eclipse, okay, Kava, JBuilder, Gel, lot of IDE editors are available. But this time when we start Java, we have a Notepad as an editor. Okay, then to compile a Java program, we have a JavaC command. I'll show you all this concept practically in today's session. Don't worry about this. Okay, let me finish some of the theoretical part and then we'll start practical session. Okay, like how to download Java, how to install Java, how to set class path. Okay, that all things I'll do practically. Don't worry about this. Okay, then mainly we discussed about JDK, JRE and JVM. Okay, so being a Java user, okay, let me ask some of the question. Okay, let me check how many you have focused on yesterday's video or not. Being a Java user, which is most important, JRE, JDK, JRE or JDK? Being a Java user, not being a Java developer. Being a Java user means if suppose I need to run Java program, I need JRE or JDK. I need JRE or JDK. Being a Java user, I'm talking about, okay, not Java developer. I'm not talking about Java developer. Okay. So JRE is for user, exactly right. So being a Java user, you require only JRE, Java runtime environment, right? But if you want to develop a Java program, you want to run Java program, then definitely you require JDK, which is Java Development Kit. Okay, so today we install JDK version 21, which is LTE support version, right? Long time support LTS version. So what is this long time support? I'll explain you when I'll install this. Okay, so that what we discussed in JVM is a part of JRE and JRE is a part of JDK, right? So all this thing we discussed in last video. Then we discussed about the concept. Okay, let me focus on main important concept what we discussed. Okay, then okay, that is again important, like J2. What is the difference between J2 AC, J2 EE, J2 ME, right? So J2 AC is called Java 2 Standard Edition. J2 EE is called Java 2 Enterprise Edition, because Java added the flavor of enterprise application in J2 EE, right? And then J2 ME is called Java 2 Micro Edition, which is for micro platform. Like if you want to develop an application in Java for setup box, for remote applications, okay, so that will go for, and some initial level applications for mobile also, right? I'm not talking about Android again. Okay, so J2ME is not Android concept. Android is a different setup. If you want to work Android in Java, then you have to install Android setup in your system. That is a different part, right? So what is J2AC, what is J2 EE, what is J2ME, what is JNDI? Okay, Java 2 naming directory, okay, directory interface. Okay, then with JMS services are there in Java, which will be discussed later on. Java mailing services, JMS. Okay, so that all are different versions of Java what we discussed. Okay, then how to set class path that we discussed, like okay, what is the difference between like compile time environment and runtime environment. Okay, that all concept we discussed. So now let me come to the topic what we left. Okay, like features of Java we discussed. Okay, Java is an object-oriented platform, independent, open source, freeware, simple, secure, robust. Okay, and multi-threaded, distributed. All this thing we discussed in last time. Okay, so I hope you have gone through all the different concept what we discussed. Okay, so now let me come to the again important difference. Okay, difference between Java and Python, Java and C++. It will not take much time. Okay, I'll focus on main concept, like what is the major difference between Java and C++ for those people who actually having a background of C++, and this difference is for those people who's having a background of Python. And if you mention, even in last video I told you that if you mention Python and Java both in your resume, then definitely they will ask you the difference questions, right? What is the difference between Java and Python? What is the difference between Java and C++? Okay, but if you don't mention these subjects in your resume, then it's okay, right? So this is for those people who's having a background of C++. Okay, see, if we talk about, firstly let me discuss difference between C++ and Java, right? So see, C++ and Java is having a multiple lot of difference between C++ and Java. But let me focus on main important difference, like what are the major important difference. First one, it is a partially object oriented, right? And Java is more object oriented as compared to C++. C++ is a partially object oriented, while Java is more object oriented. Again, I'm telling you, Java is not purely object oriented programming language, because a language is called a purely object oriented if that language is having object, not variable, right? But in Java we have a variable as well as object to store the data, so we cannot say that Java is purely object oriented. But yes, Java is more object oriented, okay, more object oriented as compared to C++, and C++ is a partially object oriented. Now how we can say that C++ is a partially object oriented, right? So you know, C++ is exactly a language C with object oriented programming. C with object oriented programming, like C language was there and they added OOPS concept in this existing language. Actually C++, we say that it is an extended version of C. Okay, there is a language called C and they added OOPS concept. So see why it is a partially object oriented, because if there is no OOPS concept, because in C++ we do a program in both the way, like without object oriented thought, even you do a programming in C language, C++. C++ supports both type of programming. It is both procedure as well as object oriented, right? So that's why we say that C++ is a partially object oriented. Without even object oriented thought, you do programming in C language with the procedure oriented concept, right? So that is the major difference between C++ and Java. It is more object oriented, but again not purely object oriented. It is not purely object oriented. Reason is that in Java we have both the things to store the data. We have an object also, like if I want to store a data, so we have a variable as well as we have an object, right? So the day I'll cover the topic like wrapper classes, that time we'll discuss like what exactly wrapper classes in Java, because in Java we have both the concept. Okay, Java use variable as well as Java use object, and that things makes Java less object oriented. Like Java is not purely object oriented. Reason behind is this one, right? Then there are more differences, like in C++, lot of topic we have, like pointers are there in C++, right? We have a pointers in C++, but Java don't have any pointer topic. Okay, Java don't have. Okay, so Java don't have any pointer. So that is again a major difference, like pointer, Java don't have any pointer. Yes, you know, if any one of you is having a knowledge of C and C++, so anyone tell me why we use pointers in C and C++. If you have any knowledge. If you don't have, then this question is not for you, right? So, but if you have a background of C and C++, so anyone suggest me why we use pointers in a single line. In a single line, okay, I don't want any detailed explanation. Anyone suggest me why we use pointers in C and C++? If anyone is having a knowledge, why we use pointers in C and C++? For pointing memory address, access memory location, okay, that all things. But in single line, if you want to define the use of pointer, we simply say that we use a pointer for reference variable. You know, in C and C++, when we learn pointer, then one line statement is this: pointers are reference variable. Okay, so in C and C++, we have a pointer to make a variable as a reference variable, right? Or to make an object as a reference object. But listen it very carefully. Okay, in Java, we have a reference object concept. But that is not with pointer. That is not with pointer, right? But yes, Java is having a reference object without pointer. How it is, that will cover when I'll cover this topic. Okay, when I'll come to the programming part. But yes, Java don't have pointer. But yes, Java is having a reference object. Okay, in C++, we make two references. Even we have a reference variable. Even we have a reference object. But in Java, we don't make variable as a reference variable. But yes, we'll make object as a reference object. So Java is more yes, Java is having a variable, okay, but Java is more focused on object, right? So that reason Java is more object oriented. That's why focus of Java is more on object rather than variable. So we have reference object in Java. Listen it very carefully. How it is possible? Okay, that is a different thing. Okay. We have a reference objects in Java, right? So how we make object as a reference object, that definitely I'll teach you, okay, when I'll come to this topic, right? But in C++, pointers are actually we use to make this references, right? But Java don't have any pointer concept. In C++, we have a friend function. Okay, In C++, we have a friend function, but Java don't have any friend function concept. Again, it's a very important difference. Okay, I'll cover the key point differences. Okay, otherwise both languages are left to right. Okay, C++ is platform dependent language, Java is platform independent language. C++ is less object oriented, Java is more object oriented. C++ is having a pointer concept, Java don't having a pointer concept. C++ is having a friend function, Java is don't having a friend function, right? In C++, you know, if someone of you having this knowledge, please let me know. Suppose in C++, if I'll declare a class and if I define any function inside this class, if I'll define, okay, the definition of this function is inside a class only. Okay, this is for those people who is having a knowledge of C++, right? If you don't have any background, don't get any confusion or don't scared, okay? Because when I start Java, I'll consider that you don't have any background of any language, okay? But this is for those people who is having a background of C++, because definitely this question will ask you in interview, okay? Like in C++, suppose if I define any method, okay, not a function, because once a function is a member of a class, it is a method. So this method is called what? Anyone? When we define any method inside a class, this method is called, or you can say that this function is called what? What this function is called? If you define a function inside a class in C++, this function is defaultly called dash dash dash. Anyone? This function is defaultly called dash dash dash. Okay. So what this function is called? If you have a background of C++, then please answer me. Exactly, Vishakha. This is called inline function, right? This is called inline method. This method is called inline method. Once we define a method inside a class in C++, this is called inline method. So there are two ways to make a function inline, either outside the class or inside the class, right? But see, when I start programming in Java, each and every concept we have to write inside a class only. This is a Java code, right? So in Java, even we make a method inside a class. Okay, we define a function inside a class, but there is no inline concept. Java don't have any inline kind of concept, no inline function, right? So in Java, never say that it's an inline method or inline function, because Java don't have any inline concept, right? So this is again a major difference. Once in C++, we define a method inside a class, this is called inline method. But in Java, there is no inline concept, although we define every method in Java inside a class only. Remember one thing from this first day of programming, Java not allowed to write anything outside the class. Neither Java developer wrote anything outside the class, nor they will allow you to write anything outside the class until unless I'll not explain you interface concept. Interface is a different thing, but always remember, if you want to print hello programming in Java, then you have to write your method inside a class only. Because Java don't allowed anything to write outside the class. Everything you have to write inside the class only. Okay, this funda always be remember. Okay, so in Java, we have a method inside a class, but this method is not called inline function. There is no inline concept in Java. There is no friend function concept in Java. There is no pointer in Java. There is no storage classes in Java. Okay. In C and C++, we have a storage classes concept. Like there are 4 types of storage classes are there, like auto. Okay, we have an auto storage class, auto, static, register. Okay, these are the storage classes we have in C and C++, auto, static, register and extend, right? But in Java, we don't have any storage class. Okay, Java don't have this storage classes. Okay, so always remember, in Java, there is no storage classes concept. No auto, no static, no... Okay, static is there, but that is a different thing. That is not in storage class. Okay, but in C++, we have any storage classes. Auto, static, register, extend, but in Java we don't have this kind of concept, right? So always remember this thing. In C++, it is possible that we define a method inside a class only and outside the class also. In C++, there are 2 ways. If you want, you can define a method inside a class, or if you want, you can define a method outside the class with the class name. Okay, if someone of you having a background, okay, so I hope you did this practice, like to define this method outside the class, we have to write something, void class name A, then scope resolution operator, and then display, right? So this is again a practice in C++, but in Java, we don't have this kind of concept. Okay, Java not allowed to write anything outside the class, right? Every method you have to write inside the class only, right? In C++, we have modifiers. We have modifiers. Anyone suggest me how many types of modifiers are there in C++? Modifiers. In C++, we have a modifier, okay? See, again I'm telling you, if you have a background of C++, then definitely this question will ask you in interview, okay? That they will ask the comparison question, okay? If you don't want to mention C++ in your resume, that is a different thing, right? But if you mention C++, then be ready with these questions, right? So how many types of modifiers are there in C++? Modifier, you can say that access specifiers. These are the same word, right? Modifier or access specifier. In C++, we have an access specifier, or we say that modifiers, right? So how many types of access specifier and modifiers are there in C++? No, Vishakha, it is not modifier. Signed, unsigned, and char is not modifier. Specifier and access specifier. In C++, we have an access specifier, public, private, and protected, right? Public, private, and protected. These are called modifiers as well as access specifier. Public, private, and protected, right? So same we have in Java, but in Java one more added, right? In Java we have a default public also. I'll explain you. In Java we have a default public also, right? So this one added in Java newly, right? So in C++ we have a public, private, and protected. These are called modifier, or you can say that access specifier. Access specifier. With this we can actually specify the data members of a class, right? So these are called access specifier in C++, public, private, and protected, right? But in Java, we have a public, private, protected, and default public. And the most important difference, okay, with this, in C++, we use this access specifier for mode of inheritance also. For mode of inheritance also, right? Even in inheritance topic, I explained this concept. In C++, we have a mode of inheritance like public mode, private mode, protected mode. In C++, when we inherit a class, suppose we have a class A, okay, and if I need to inherit class B with this class A, then simply we'll write class B colon public A, right? We have a mode of inheritance in C++, right? Public mode, private mode, protected mode. But in Java, we have an inheritance concept, but there is no mode of inheritance. Always remember this difference. Again, it is a very important difference. In Java, we have a modifier, like we have a public modifier, we have a private modifier, we have a protected modifier, one more added. Default public is also there, right? So these are also used as an access specifier in Java. These are not used as a mode of inheritance in Java, right? But in Java, we have a mode of inheritance also, like public mode, private mode, protected mode. Okay, so always remember this thing. Okay, so in Java, we don't have this kind of concept, right? In Java, we'll use extend keyword. I'll explain you when I'll come to this topic, like to extend, right? Class B extends, right? So again, this is an important difference. So these are some of the most important differences. Although some things which is common in C++ and Java, like in C++ we have a classes. So in Java we have a class concept. Okay, in C++ the driver function is a main function. So in Java we have a driver method which is a main method. Okay, in C++ we have a file handling concept. So in Java also we have a file handling concept. Okay, in C++ we use stream for read and write purpose. So even in Java we use stream, because these are the object oriented concept, right? Stream used by object oriented programming languages. What is stream? I'll explain you when I write my first Java program, so that I'll explain you what exactly the meaning of stream is, right? But I hope till now you understood, like, and see, there are a lot of differences are there, because but I'll cover the major key concept, okay, because both languages are left and right? So these are the most important differences you need to understand, okay? Like C++ creates an exe file, but Java never creates exe file. Again, that is a major difference. In C++, output file is an exe file. In Java, there is no exe file created. Java created only two files. One is .java and second is .class file, right? So in Java we only have a two file, .java and .class file. So that is what the important difference is between C++ and Java. So I hope you understood all this. Okay, Now let me show you. If someone of you is having a background of Python, okay, so again there is a difference between Python and Java, right? Major difference. Again, these both are different languages, but yes, there is a difference between Python and Java also. Okay, but see, before moving further, let me remind you, if you want me to continue this lecture, okay, if you want me to complete this course, please share this course with your friends. Please share this course with your relatives who really want to learn this technology, your friends in your friend circle, because number of crowd is increased, then only it is possible that we'll do all these setups. Okay, so please try to understand my problem also. Okay, if number of students are increased, then these efforts will be these efforts I'll do, okay, because see, there are a lot of effort I need to do for this live classes. Okay, so definitely I want to teach you, definitely I want to continue this free classes till end, okay, but see, the crowd is more important, so please circulate this course to your friends, okay, so that I'll continue this course till end. And this is what my surety that I told you in first day also. After completion of this course, no one can stop you. Definitely you will get in your desired company. Definitely you will get your desired company, whether it is a Google or whether it is Amazon, because I'll cover each and every concept. That is my surety. Okay, and don't refer any book, nothing, only regularity. Okay, only you have to watch every videos properly. That is what my requirement. From day one I told you. Right, so please circulate this course with your friend if you really want me to continue this course, right? If you don't want, then that's okay. Okay, so now let me show you what is the difference between Python and Java. Okay, see, the major important difference, again the same. Java is both procedure and object oriented programming language. Java is Python is both procedure and object oriented, not Java, procedure and object oriented. Python is both procedure and object oriented, because in Python also we write a code without object oriented programming. When we start to learn Python, we never start with the class concept. Classes and object topic will start in Python after 15 days. Initial 10 to 15, that depends like how many times you need to cover this procedure oriented concept. But yes, at least after 10 to 15 days, we'll start object oriented concepts in Python. Okay, so earlier initial stage we use Python as a procedure oriented language. There is no need to create any class, okay, there is no need to create any object in Python for initial level, because Python is both procedure and object oriented programming language, right? While Java supports only object oriented concept. In Java we never use procedure oriented concept. Procedure oriented means what? I hope you understood. Okay, how many of you understood like what I'm trying to explain you? That thing I covered in my, I think, first or second lecture. What do you mean by that? Only object oriented, only procedure oriented. What do you mean by procedure oriented? I'll explain you 3 types of language. Yeah, remember, procedure oriented, object oriented and object based. So what do you mean by procedure oriented? What exactly I'm trying to tell you? Anyone? Like in Python, we use procedure and object oriented approach. In Java, we also only use object oriented approach. What does it mean? What does it mean? Type fast. No one? No idea? So in Java, there is no case like you write any program without a class. In Java, if you want to write a code, you have to use classes concept. Without class, you are not allowed to write anything in Java, right? But in Python, both the approaches are there. In Python, we use procedure-oriented approach as well as object-oriented approach. That means in Python, it is also possible that we write a code without classes also. Okay, so that is what the major important difference, and there are a lot of differences I'm telling you. In Python, we don't have any constructor, we have an init method in Python. In Python, there is no method overriding concept. Okay, like in Java, we have a method overriding as well as method overloading. In Python, we don't have method overloading concept, okay. And a lot of differences are there. In another important difference, it is a dynamically typed language. dynamic typed. You know, what is this dynamic typed? It is a static type language. Java is a static typed language. Okay. While Python is a dynamic typed language. What does it mean? Like static typed and dynamic typed. It is a very interesting difference. Sometimes it is considered as an advantage, but sometimes it is considered as a disadvantage also. In Python, once we declare a variable, once I used to use a variable for storing a data, okay, even in Python there is no variable concept, you know. In Python we don't have a variable. Python don't use variable. Each and everything in Python is an object. Like suppose if I use a equals to 10, so this a is an object of class int. It is an object, it is not a variable, because Python don't have a variable concept. This is the very interesting thing, right? But again, Python is not purely object oriented, because it supports procedure oriented programming also. So we cannot say that Python is having an object only, so that it is a purely object oriented, because it supports procedure oriented concept also, right? So in Python, once I use this object to storing the data, right? Simply I need to write a equals to 10. While in Java, it's a Python, okay? It's a Python code, okay? While in Java, okay, if you want to store this 10 in a, first you have to declare this variable. Strictly typed checked language, strictly typed checked. I'll cover this topic also. What do you mean by that? Strictly typed, okay. First you have to declare this variable, then only it allowed you to assign the integer value inside this, right? While in Python, simply you can write a equals to 10. So dynamically your object type assigned int. Even in Java, if you trying to store hello in this a, okay, this is an error. Why it is an error? Because you declare this variable as a type of integer. Okay, see, this is what the scenario in Java, like if you declare a variable as an integer type, then you are not allowed to store any another data type in this variable, right? It's strictly typed checked language, right? While in Python, even in second line, if you want, you can change this type hello. Even in third line, if you change this type 20.19, it's okay. Dynamically change. Automatically Python change the data type. Okay, like this time the data type of this A is integer. Second time the data type of this A is a string. Third time the type of A is float. Okay, fourth time if I'll assign true, then type is changed to boolean. While in Java it is not possible. So for simplicity it is best. But you know what is the disadvantage of this thing? What is the disadvantage of this thing? Anyone can guess. Anyone can guess. Like, okay, this is a fantastic concept. Being a programmer, it's a good, right? Because there is no need to declare any variable. But what is the major disadvantage of this dynamically changes? Because you know, Python dynamically change the type. But there is a big disadvantage. What that disadvantage? What do you think? Okay, if you guess, then you please type it. Okay, like what according to you, what is the disadvantage of this thing? But in Java, don't face this disadvantage, because in Java, once you declare the variable, you are not allowed to store any value apart from integer. This variable only allowed to use for integer only. This variable will not accept any another type of data. So that is an advantage. That is an advantage. What is the disadvantage? Sir, this is the best part, like no need to declare a variable, like every time automatically variable change its type. So what is harm in that? It's a very nice concept. Yeah, it's a very nice concept for a programmer point of view, for a user point of view, right? But this is a disadvantage for a programming point of view. Okay, what is that? It is not secure, definitely, Vishakha. It is typed and reduce the readability. Again, the major disadvantage, it increase the time complexity of a program. Because what do you think? Is this a magic, like when I assign 10 into and then type is integer, when then I assign hello into it, then type is a string? You know, the complete type changed internally. That complete data type changed internally. There are a lot of code internally executed. Then after it is possible that this dynamically changes are possible. So it increased the time complexity of an application. You know what does it means? Okay, see, always remember for any program, two concepts are very key concept. Two concepts are very much important, like space complexity and time complexity. time complexity means what? An amount of time taken by a program to execute this program. And always user wants a software who executes in less time complexity. So time complexity means, I hope you understood, like amount of time taken by a program to execute, like how minimum time your program will take for execution. And space complexity means how much space taken by a program. Okay, so always as a user you required less time complexity and less space complexity. Like, okay, let me show you a best example. Like suppose if I'm going to tell you, okay, there is a very nice software in Play Store of Android. Okay, there is a game, like suppose there is a game, it's a very nice game, it's a very interactive game, it's a very fantastic game. Okay, go to the Play Store and download this game. Okay, that's an example. Okay, so if suppose you go to a Play Store for downloading this game, firstly you check this, what is the total size of this game. Okay, now suppose if you are in your mobile data, okay, and size of this game is 3.5 GB, you at least think twice before downloading this game, because the size is 3.5 GB. It's very high size. Okay, because space complexity is higher, so always user think about it. But if the same game size is 10 MB, definitely without any thought you download this game. So as your application is designed with less space complexity, user always want this type of an application. Being an end user I'm talking about. User always want a software who is required less space rather than large space, right? So this is what, again, that increase the time complexity. Like in the same case, always user want your application execute fast. Okay, like if your application is having a less time complexity, then definitely end user like this. You know, Google, ChatGPT, Google. Why we use this ChatGPT and Google? Because, you know, just consider in Google, suppose if you want to try to search something, right? Suppose you want to try to search, okay, how to download Java. Okay, or what is Java? Okay, this is what, like suppose if you are in a mood to learn Java, so you simply write Google, okay, like what is Java? Explain me. Now suppose you will get an, okay, I'll search, it will take 15 minutes. Suppose there is a message come from Google, okay, I'll search it, it takes 15 minutes to get me your answer, right? So definitely second time you cannot use this software. But in Google, it's a microsecond task. If you have good internet speed, then within a microsecond, Google will answer you. Within a microsecond, milliseconds, your ChatGPT will answer you. Okay. So this software is what? Why will the user use this software? This is just an example. There are a lot of examples are there, right? Because this type of a software is having a less time complexity. The time complexity is less. So always user want this type of an application. While in Python, definitely see this one. If these changes are there, okay, dynamically change are good for application, but it increase the time complexity. While in Java, this is not a case. Why this is not a case? Because you are not allowed to store any another type of data except integer. See this one. Again, there is a major important difference between C++ and Java. Okay, C++ and Java, let me show you. Okay. In C++, okay, please be focus on this. In C++, suppose if I declare a variable, it's a C++ case, okay? It's a C++ case. See, don't be hurry for a Java programming, you know, because most of the people think that it's a fourth lecture and you have not yet tried first Java program. Okay, see, first you have to build your background. Okay, first you have to build your foundation, because you know what I taught from the last 4 to 5 lecture, at least 10 to 15 interview questions I already covered of different companies. Like, okay, at least 10 to 15 questions they will ask you what we studied in from the last 3 to 4 lectures, and even in this lecture also, right? So please try to understand, once I start Java, then definitely we'll talk about everything in Java is only, right? Like programming in Java, multi-threading, exception handling, okay, IO, collection, okay, wrapper classes, generic classes, everything I'll cover. Okay, each and every small topic even I'm going to cover. But before that, let me build your foundation strong, right? So that once I'll use the same word at the time of programming, that time you will not face any problem, right? So please be focused and please be patient, because it will take time, meet, and then I'll print it. Okay, again this is for those people who is having a background of C++. If you don't have any background, don't take any tension. Try to understand this. Okay, don't leave this lecture. Okay, but try to understand this. Okay, so what is the answer? Anyone? Please type fast because we have a very less time. Answer is 20. Answer is 20 here. Okay, because in C++, if you declare a variable as an int type, but if you assign any decimal value, it automatically converts this decimal to integer. In C++, this is called a very important word we use. In C++, this concept is called dash, dash, dash. Again, the most important interview question. What exactly the concept executed in background? What exactly the concept of this statement in background, right? This concept is called not Vishakha, right? Invalid word. Okay, you are correct, but what is incorrect? Okay, this is not typecasting. This is not typecasting. Okay, this is called type conversion. This is called type conversion. There is a difference between typecasting and type conversion, This is called type conversion. Okay, type conversion means what? Okay, see, once one type of data is automatically converts into another type. Here, actually, this is a decimal value, right? But it implicitly converts into integer. Implicit. We have not write any extra enough code to convert this decimal value in integer. Okay, see, this is an implicit process. Automatically, implicitly, this 20.169, which is a decimal value, converted into integer. So, this is exactly, this statement is called implicit type conversion. Implicit type conversion. This is called implicit type conversion, right? So, always remember, conversion means automatically. Conversion means automatically. So, conversion word we always use with implicit. Implicit means automatically, right? But see, if the same scenario we have in Java. Okay, like in Java, suppose if I declare a variable integer a, and if I assign decimal value like 20.169, okay, and then if I try to print this again in Java, suppose, okay, so in Java, this statement will show an error. This is an error. In Java, this is an error. Why it is an error in Java? Because Java don't have implicit type conversion concept. Okay, here you have to forcefully convert this 20.169 into integer. Java will not convert it implicitly. You have to forcefully convert. Forcefully means don't force it. Okay, forcefully means you have to write an extra line of code to convert this 20.169 into integer. That is called forcefully conversion, right? So in Java, to convert this statement, we have to write like a equals to int 20.169. So this concept is called explicit type conversion. Explicit type conversion. This is called explicit typecasting. Sorry, not conversion. This is called explicit typecasting. So typecasting word we always be used for explicit purpose. You know what is an interview question? Interview question is not that like what is the difference between this one and this one. Okay, interview question is that what is the difference between conversion and casting? People consider both are the same. No, both are not same. Difference between conversion and casting. Conversion means when the things will do automatically, implicitly. That is called conversion. In C++ we have a conversion concept, but in Java we have a casting concept. Okay, forcefully we have to convert one type of data into another type. Okay, it will not done automatically in Java because in Java we don't have type conversion concept. We have a type casting concept in Java. So that is the major important difference again in C++ and Java. I told you there are a lot of differences. As I remember, I'll explain you. Okay, because lot of differences are there. So again, I actually remember this one. So I'll explain you like, okay. So I hope now you have a clarity like what is the difference between conversion and casting, right? But in Python, we don't have such type of a scenario. In Python, if you want to assign decimal value, because it's dynamically typed check language, right? The another important difference, okay, let me come again between Python and Java. See, this is what my style of teaching, the things which I remember, that moment I'll explain you. Because for me, it is an important interview question. So I won't wait till end of the lecture. Okay, if I'll consider, okay, this one is an important for you, I'll explain at the same time. So that you'll get this all concept even with at the same moment, right? Okay, I don't wait, because at the end even I forget. Okay, so that's why the reason, like we'll shift to C plus. Difference between C plus plus and Java, well, we're talking about the difference between Python and C Java, right? So another important difference is what? Okay, see, both languages having their advantages and disadvantages, right? Both are top 5 languages. Okay, like if you search top 5 languages, then Python and Java both are there, right? So another important difference is that in Python, okay, they see there are again lot of differences, right? Like in Python we don't have switch case statement, while in Java we have a switch case statement. In Python we don't have any constructor concept, while in Java we have a constructor concept. Okay, in Java we have a main, as main we use as a like driver function, but while in Python there is no need to write main. Okay, we'll start the coding directly, right? So these are the very much important differences. These are the lot of differences are there. But another important difference is that Python is mostly used in market for machine learning application, okay, for data science, okay, for AI. So for ML, data science, AI, Python is a suitable option, because Python is having a both, why these two languages are the most popular language? Can you think? Means anytime, like why Java and Python is that much popular? No doubt they are popular in their own area. Like Python is popular for data science, machine learning, AI application, while Java is popular for like e-commerce application. Okay, Java is popular for security application. Okay, Java is popular for banking application, enterprise application. Okay, for mobile application, Java is also popular in market, right? While we never use Python for mobile application, because Python is having some concept for mobile application, but yet Python is not success for mobile development. But while Java is again one of the important language for mobile application, for banking, security, e-commerce. Okay, for IoT application even we use, and for gaming application both languages are there. Gaming concept supported by Java also, and gaming concept supported by Python also, right? So see, always both the languages are top languages, right? But yes, there are some differences are there. So if you want to become this type of a developer in future, like okay, like security, if you want to go security side, banking side, e-commerce side, okay, IoT, then definitely Java is the right choice for you. And this is what my perception, this is what my suggestion. Even if you want to change any languages in future, that is your wish, right? But once you learn Java, then definitely it takes hardly 5 to 6 days to shift from Java to any languages, because most of the languages actually copied Java concept. That is what the another important reason, like why you choose Java is your first language, or after C and C++, when we are talking about higher languages. Like okay, so if your first choice is Java, then this is my surety, and I'm this is my surety, and I'm that much sure, because see, from the last 25 years I have seen lot of scenarios. Like if you have Java, if you have a Java person, and if you want to change this technology, although no need to change it, but suppose if there is any situation is occur, so it will not take hardly a week, and easily you are starting your development in any technology like PHP, Python, anyone, because Java is having that much strong concept. So no need to shift from Java. Java itself that much powerful. But suppose if any situation is occur in your industry and you need to change this technology, so always industry refer Java people, because they know very well, like if the person is having a knowledge of Java, then he or she will be able to work in any languages. So that is another important part. Okay, you have to consider it, right? So I hope now you understood like where Python is the most suitable language, where Java is the most suitable language, right? So again, this is an important difference. So if you have any doubt till now, okay, you can type it fast. I'll take a break of 5 minutes. Okay, then I'll cover all the questions and answer, and then we'll start another topic. Okay. Sorry, mic was mute. Okay, so let me answer again. So Surya, don't worry about this. Like there is a question like where we compile Java, sir. So don't worry, Surya. I'll do each and every concept practically, right? So don't worry about this. Okay, like how to install Java, how to write your first Java program without an IDE environment, because I'm not going to write first Java program directly on VS Code or NetBeans or Eclipse. Okay, I'll use Notepad as an editor. At least we'll make 3 to 4 program in Notepad, and then we'll shift to different types of editor. Like lot of editors are there, so we'll shift anyone. Like we have an Eclipse, we have like NetBeans. Okay, so industry, again important question is there, like what is the industry standard for IDE in Java, right? So Prakash, most of the industry uses NetBeans as an IDE editor or Eclipse as an IDE editor. Okay, so if definitely I'll use both of the editors. Like, so now it's your choice whether you'll go for NetBeans or Eclipse, right? But yes, Eclipse is another important editor for industry requirement. Okay, because most of the industry use Eclipse as an editor, or even NetBeans is also there, and lot of more editors are there. I'll explain you. Okay, but initially we start the Java code from Notepad, then NetBeans, then Eclipse, then Gel also. I'll use Gel also. So don't worry, I'll cover most of the editors and most of the IDE environment. Okay. Sir, can I call you? Okay, so this is a different question. Sir, how JVM is responsible for security in Java? Don't worry, Vishaka. Okay, there is a major important diagram is there. Okay, but I have not yet covered this, because see, that is completely a technical concept. Okay, till now, actually in today's lecture we discuss most of the technical concept, right? But there is an architecture of JRE. There is an architecture of JVM, like what is class loader, what is heap memory, what is stack memory. Okay, so that time this question I'll cover, like how JVM is secure. And one thing, Java is platform independent. Java is platform independent, but JVM is not. JVM is not platform independent. Okay, so you have, once you go to Java, once you go to website or official website of Java for downloading setup of Java, you will find JDK for Linux, JDK for Windows, JDK for iOS. Okay, that time there is a question comes in mind, sir, Java is a platform independent, then why different versions are there? Why the different versions are there for different operating system? Because actually there is an installer. So JVM you have to install as per the operating system. JVM is platform dependent. Okay, Java is platform independent. Again, there is a very interesting thing. Okay, so that is what. So I'll explain you like each and every concept when I'll cover this architecture. But for that, see, this is what my practice is. Okay, I'll cover that part after completion of 3 to 4 Java programs, so that actually student will much aware with technical concept. Okay, so I hope I answer your question. Okay, like using applet, some this thing comes with it. See, applet, Vishaka, is completely outdated now. No one use applet because now we have a servlet concept, we have a JSP concepts in Java, and more than that, like Spring Boot and Hibernate, that I'll cover in my corporate Java concept, right? So applet is no longer used. Okay, applet is an old one fashion, because some of the version of Java is not having an applet. Okay. So any more question? Technical casting is forcefully with conversion by compiler. Yes, and fun and facts is mostly because of C++. Okay, so although most of the questions I covered. Okay, so now let me come to another important concept. Like, okay, till now we covered most of the theoretical concept, like what is the difference between C++ and Java. Okay, one more difference is there, but let me not take much time in this difference, like Java and JavaScript, right? So see, there is a similarity of name only in this. Both are different technologies. JavaScript is a language which we use to make an application dynamic with HTML. Okay, so only the similarity of name. Okay, when JavaScript came in the market, it was called client-side scripting language. The name of this language was called client-side scripting. Client-side scripting, okay. It's a client-side scripting language, right? But later on, they will change the name from client-side scripting to JavaScript. And there is a very, interesting story behind this, like why they use Java word, right? Because in 1995, actually this technology also came in between 95 to 2000, right? In that time, Java was the boom. Matlab Java was one of the most demandable technology in 95, between 95 to 2000 up. Still Java is required in nowadays, okay, but still that time Java was new, came in the market, right? So there was a huge requirement of Java people. Java was most popular language that time, right? So to seeing the popularity of Java, actually this name is changed from client-side scripting to Java scripting. That's it. It is only because of the popularity of the name. If some person is having a name, like suppose if you call anyone, if suppose you 5 people are there in market and someone is calling you, okay Rajesh, listen, so you will not see here and there, right? But if someone calls any person like, oh Amitabh Bachchan, come here, suppose it, right? Suppose, so at least 10 to 15 people will see around, right? Who is exactly Amitabh Bachchan? Because this name is a famous name. If any person's name is Amitabh Bachchan, then that person is famous with its name only. Like suppose if any student in college is having the same name and same surname, Amitabh Bachchan, so he is itself a famous person. Because that name is having that much name and fame, right? So same scenario in that time, right? Java is having that name and fame. So with that name and fame, the people change this name from client-side scripting to JavaScript. Although JavaScript we use for client-side programming. Okay, so see again, it is a very vast lecture if I'll come to this, like what is client-side programming, what is server-side programming. Okay, so while we'll talk about web application, then Java used for server-side programming, while JavaScript is used for client-side programming. If we'll compare this with the web development, right? So even JavaScript nowadays is also used, earlier JavaScript code executed by browser. JavaScript is for browser-based language. JavaScript code only executed by browser. You are not allowed to write JavaScript. Earlier I told you, right? When JavaScript came in the market, JavaScript code executed by browser engine, which is V8 engine, right? V8 engine in the Google Chrome. Okay, so JavaScript exactly a technology executed by browser engine. Okay, and it is not a compiled language. JavaScript is not a compiled language, right? It is executed by browser. You are not allowed to write JavaScript code to run outside the browser earlier, but now we have a version called Node.js, okay, which is a combination of C++ and V8 engine. So with this Node.js, now it is possible that you run the JavaScript code even outside the browser also. Now JavaScript is a language like Java and C++. So earlier JavaScript required browser. While from the day one, Java is not kind of language. Like Java is a language which is not based on browser. Like it is not like that we run Java code only for a browser. Even we write a Java code for desktop application, for console application, and for browser application also, right? But JavaScript is kind of different thing, right? JavaScript is exactly used for browser based application. Well, Java is not for that, right? Java uses for multiple type of application, right? So that is what the major difference is. Okay, and there are a lot of again differences, like in the syntaxes are different. JavaScript is more use C++ syntaxes. Okay, so if you have a knowledge of C and C++, then JavaScript is more easy for those people, right? So JavaScript mostly uses C and C++ syntaxes, while Java use C++ syntaxes, but Java is their own syntaxes, their own capabilities. So I'll cover this when I'll come to the programming part. So that is what the important difference between Java and Python, Java and C++, and Java and JavaScript. So I hope now you have a clarity like how Java is differ from other languages, right? Like how Java is differ from C++, how Java is differ from Python, how Java is differ from JavaScript. Okay, so these are what the differences. Okay, so almost we covered all the theoretical concept from this last 4 lecture: features of Java, object oriented concept, inheritance, platform independency concept. Okay, then differences between JDK, JRE, JVM. Okay, like now the next is that, see, once we install Java in our machine, so we need to write the first Java program definitely, right? So let me explain you first Java program, okay, and then I'll do installation and everything on machine, right? So we'll come to practical session after this first Java program, but I hope still if you have any doubt, then please type it, okay, because now we are going to start the coding part of Java. Now we are going to start the like programming in Java, right? Okay, so before moving to this, because now onwards, now we'll discuss the topics, like every topics of Java one by one we'll cover, right? So see, this complete Java course we divided. Let me show you the roadmap now. Like what is the roadmap we follow to learn this language, right? Like this is my surety. Like we cover at least every topic, and after completion of every 5 to 10 topics, we'll also plan small projects. Okay, like small project at earlier level. Okay, like the projects is like micro level project, some of the project which is like micro project, mini project, minor project, major project. So after completion of this complete course, at least means 10 to 20 project, more than 20 even, okay, we'll cover in this complete session, right? So I divided this complete. What is the roadmap actually? Please now focus on this, because now onwards we'll start the programming part. Okay, so I'll cover each and every topic, but let me show you like which are the important concepts we need to cover. Like we start Java with core concept. So we'll start with the core Java concept, and then after completion of core Java, okay, then we'll start advanced Java concept. Okay, we divided this complete course in 3 different categories. Okay, core Java, advanced Java, and third one is a corporate Java. Third one is a corporate Java, right? So we start with the core Java concept. Now, sir, what is the difference between these 3? What does it mean? Like what is core Java, what is advanced Java, what is corporate Java, right? So core Java means what? The fundamental concept of Java, like what Java has given us for a programming. You're not able to direct make any web application in Java. You're not able to direct make any gaming application in Java until and unless you don't know what exactly Java developer has given us for a programming. So Java developer given us a lot of concept like exception handling concept, multi-threading concept, like how many data types are there in Java, how many types of loops are there, collection framework, okay, IO concept, swings concept, okay. So this all concept we cover in core Java, and that's why the reason, you know, once we write a Java program, then Java program will display an output in different screen. Like with Java, we'll able to make a program whose output displays on console screen. Okay, with Java, we are able to make a program would display an output on web browser. Okay, which is called web application in Java. And with Java, it is also possible we make a gaming application would display an output. Okay, with Java, it is also possible that we create a desktop application. These are the different concept, right? So initially we start with the console application, right? So whatever the program now onwards I'm going to write, that displays an output on console screen. Okay, so because we are starting the concept of Java with core, like we are starting the core concept of Java, like we start like how to write the first program, like hello world program, then what are the data types available in Java, what are the conditional statements are there in Java, how many types of loops are there in Java, okay, then how to write a classes concept, then what exactly, how to create object, okay, then all this topic one by one I'll cover. Okay, so that is what all the output we will get on console screen. So this is because of we'll start with core Java concept, but the day we completed core Java, okay, then we'll start how to write a Java code for browser application, like how to run Java program would actually display an output on browser, right? So that day will start like concept of HTML is required. Okay, HTML is not a part of Java, but I'll cover like HTML, CSS, JavaScript also, right? Because that time we'll be discussing like client-side programming, server-side programming, and then servlet concept, okay, then JSP concept, okay. So this is for web application. Like if you want to make an application which display an output for desktop, graphical application in Java for desktop application, right? I don't want to, see, it is not possible that every software is a web application. But sir, I don't want console-based application, because you know console application will not display that much look and feel. It's a very simple, like black color screen is there. Okay, everything is in the form of text only. But we'll start with this concept, and then later on we'll shift graphical concept for browser. So that time we'll use HTML, CSS, JavaScript, servlet, JSP. But if you want to make an application for desktop, okay, for desktop application in Java, we have a topic, okay, for desktop application. Okay, desktop application means an graphical application of Java which runs on single machine, a standalone application. I don't want to make every application in Java for browser. It is not required. Okay, it is not necessary, right? So if you want to make an application for standalone user, right? So that is called the desktop application. So for that, we have to go swings concept. Okay, we have a swings. Okay, that I'll cover. Then AWT. Okay, so AWT is the outdated. Okay, but swings is actually the latest version. So I'll cover this thing when I'll come to this topic, like AWT swings. Okay, then another important is event programming. Okay, event driven programming in Java, so that will cover. So these topics actually we use in Java for desktop application, AWT, swings, event programming, how to make a desktop application, how to make a standalone application in Java, right? So that is again a part of core Java even. Okay, in core Java I'll cover all this thing. Okay, so that is what exactly. Okay, so core Java means core fundamental concept. All the concept we'll learn first in core Java and then we'll move to advanced Java, right? Because without core Java concept, it is next to impossible that you directly make an application using servlets and JSPs. Okay, but again, it is not possible for you can directly run corporate Java. You know, corporate Java is all about framework. Corporate Java is all about framework. What are the framework given by Java for a programming, which is the most important framework which we learn in corporate Java. So in corporate Java, we talk about Hibernate. Okay, we'll talk about Hibernate, like what is Hibernate. We'll talk about Spring Boot. Okay, Spring Boot is there. Okay, then we'll talk about microservices. Okay, what are the microservices used by Java, like AWS application. Okay, so this is what corporate Java, but it is not at all possible for a person like directly he or she can be able to understand like Hibernate, because Hibernate is a replacement of JDBC. So in advanced Java, first you have to be focused on this JDBC, Java database connectivity. Then only you are be able to understand Hibernate concept, because Hibernate is an ORM based architecture, object relational mapping. Okay, so what does it means, like what is ORM architecture, how Hibernate replace JDBC. So first you have to understand like what is JDBC. At least you have to make 3 to 4 projects with servlet, JSP and JDBC, and don't think in this way. See, you know what the mentality of a student, even I don't understand. Most of the students ask me, sir, JSP is outdated now. No one can use JSP now. See what industry is used right now. To get this thing, firstly you have to go with this concept, then only it is possible that you are able to understand Spring Boot and Hibernate concept. JSP is outdated or indated, that is a different thing. But for moving corporate Java, what industry demand, that is a different thing. Industry demand a people for microservices. So is it possible that a person can directly run microservices? Is it possible a person can directly run Spring Boot? How it is possible that? So whether JSP used in market or not, that is a different thing. But all this topic is based on the previous one. That what Java changes, right? So see, if new version of Java is come in the market, that means Java is make changes in the previous one. So what that previous one, firstly you have to understand this, being a fresher, being a Java developer, being a starting Java developer, right? Right now you don't have any knowledge, so you have to go with this roadmap, right? Don't try to learn directly Hibernate. Don't try to learn directly Spring Boot. So Spring Boot, Hibernate, AWS, microservices, okay, all this topic, and there are a lot of more topics are there, okay, that we'll be covering in corporate Java. So this is what exactly the breakup, like, so we start with the core Java concept, then advanced and then corporate. I hope now you have a clear clarity. So core Java means the program of Java would display an output on console screen, right? Because see, this time important is not graphic, this time important is a concept. In core Java I'll explain like what is exception handling. In core Java I'm going to explain like what is multi-threading, and then in advanced Java we use it. So at the time of when I teach JSP, when I teach Spring Boot, when I teach Hibernate, it's a crime to ask me what is multi-threading that time. Okay, please listen it very carefully, because what is multi-threading, that you have to understand in core Java. But when I implement this multi-threading concept in my advanced and corporate Java session, okay, that time please don't ask me what is multi-threading, sir, why use try-catch, what is exception handling, because for that you have to understand core Java first. And that's the reason even in earlier lecture I told you most of the industry people actually focus on core Java concept first in their interview. Even OCJP exam is based on core Java concept. So because they know very well if people is good in core Java, he or she will be easily able to cover this advanced and corporate Java concept. So being a Java developer, if you start your career in Java, okay, then first please be focused on core Java, then only think about corporate and advanced Java concept. Okay, so I hope now you have a clarity what exactly the roadmap of Java. I'm not going to mention any small topic like what I'm going to cover in core Java. Don't worry, each and every, you will check syllabus of any syllabus of the earth, okay, for Java. I'll cover each and every topic, so don't worry about this. Okay, I'll not show any university syllabus, or because my target is not university examination. My target is man companies, even not service based or product based companies. My target is a man company. So I'll explain each and every concept according to man companies. So that's what the reason I'll told you. Even in early lecture, like I am going to cover each and every concept, but you have to be focused on this. That is more important, right? So now let me start my first Java program. Okay, so if you have a paper and pen, write it first. Okay, write a program to print welcome in Java on your output screen. Okay, like how to write a program in Java by which we can get an output welcome in Java. Okay, so first we need to understand this complete program, and then I'll show you complete things on practical like installation of Java and this thing, because you know if I'll teach you like how to install Java, then again we'll stuck because we don't know how to write first Java program. So once we'll go to the programming part, once we'll go to the practical part, then from installation to first program, each and every concept I'll show you practically. Okay, so now let me write my first Java program, which is print welcome. Okay, I need to print welcome in Java. This is what output I want. Okay, welcome in Java, right? So to print this output, what exactly the step we need to follow? This is what the output I want in my console screen, right? So to print this first step, okay, first step is what? You know, in earlier lecture we discussed like to write every Java program, being a Java developer, first you have to write a source code whose extension is .java, right? So first step, please be focused on this. Okay, first step we need to write this source code, and for this source code we required an editor. Okay, so right now we don't have any editor like VS Code or NetBeans because we have Java in our machine, but we don't have any VS Code or NetBeans or Eclipse or, okay, so here we use, okay, I'm considering Windows operating system. Okay, so here I'm going to use Notepad as an editor. So first step, you have to open your Notepad. Okay, and then don't worry, I'll show you practically, and then you have to write the first Java program. And see, no doubt, like we don't know anything about classes and object concept, but see now onwards I consider that you don't have any background knowledge of any languages, right? So I'll teach in that manner because I consider you as a fresher. Okay, like for me, you are a fresher. The Java is your first language. Okay, if you have a knowledge, then it's okay, right? But you know, when I start to teach Java, the one problem definitely I'll face at the beginning, like you know, Java is an object-oriented programming language. Java not allowed me to write anything outside the class, but I don't know. Being a Java fresher, sir, I don't know what is a class. Okay, so just consider this code right now. I'll explain you each and every concept of class in Java when I'll come to this topic. But the problem is that to print hello world in Java, first we have to write a class, then only it is possible that we are able to make an application, right? So first we have to write for class like class. Okay, in Java, like each and everything is allowed inside the class only, right? So firstly, we have to write a class and the class name. Class and the class name, because in this class, we have to write main method, right? In this class, we have to write a main method. Okay, so see, in Java, always remember one important concept, like Java uses naming convention. Again, a very important concept you need to understand, like what is naming convention, right? You know, once we'll start to do a programming in any language, first step you have to check like what naming convention developer followed. Right? Naming convention means what? Java developer has given us so many concepts. Like in Java, we have a classes. In Java, we have a method. In Java, we have an interface, right? But every time you check naming convention, like, naming convention means what? What the rule followed by Java developer to mention the class name. I'm not talking about class keyword. To declare a class in Java, we use a keyword called class, right? But then I need to specify the class name here, right? The name of my class, right? So here we have to check the naming convention. In Java, for class name and even for method name also, right? There are two types of naming conventions are there. Camel convention and snack convention. Camel convention and snack convention. Like industry people uses naming convention. Naming convention means the rule for providing the name to class, method, any variable like that we have to follow the convention, right? So camel convention means what? Like Java use camel convention, right? So what does it means? Java use camel convention means in Java the name of class always starts with first letter capital. Like suppose if I need to make my class name, suppose my class, okay, so first letter must be capital. Like in my class, M must be in capital letter and then Y is in a small letter and then class. Okay, my class, okay. And suppose if your class name contain more than one word, so camel convention says first letter of every new word is capital. First letter, like suppose your class name is, suppose anything like table class. Suppose table class, my table class, right? So in my table class, 3 different words I'll consider. So I'll write this class name something like my M capital, table T capital and class C capital. Okay, so this is called convention and this one is called camel convention. Camel, something like this. Camel, if you see the camel, it is not straight like the portion of camel is something like this, right? So same convention followed by Java. So always remember the name of the class, first letter of the class name is always been capital letter. Suppose if I'll declare this class as a name called test. So T is in capital letter. Suppose my class name is test Indore. So I'll write test and then I capital of Indore, right? And similarly, this is what Java followed rule in their classes. See, Java has given more than 2 lakh classes. Java developer has given us more than 2 lakh classes for development purpose. Okay, what are these classes? I'll explain you. But in Java, class name always starts with first letter capital. So now the next question comes in mind, sir. Suppose if I use a small letter, so is any error is occur? No, there is no error is occur, but you are not a suitable person for industry now. Suppose in industry, you go with an interview and they will ask you, okay, write a Java program for that. Okay, and if you mention class test, that time you will actually out from this test. They will not ask you any another question because they'll see, okay, this is a very beginner level of programmer. Actually, this person don't know the rules and regulation. So this is not an error in Java program, but you are not, in that case, you are not a suitable candidate as a Java developer for industry. Okay, because these are the small things even industry people check. Okay, so class name always be in capital letter, right? Class and the name of class is test, right? So this is called camel convention and the same convention followed by Java for method name. Method name, but this convention is a camel convention, but it's a different, like method name in Java always starts with first letter small. First letter is small, like suppose my method means the method in which we write a code inside this class. So suppose in Java there is a method name called to uppercase. There is a method in Java to uppercase. So how we can write it? To T small, U capital, okay, and then C capital, something like to uppercase. Method name always starts with first letter small. Class name always starts with first letter capital. But every first letter of second word is capital in both the case. Like here, if it is the class name test Indore, then we need to write test Indore, I is capital. But only the difference is that class name starts with capital letter, method name starts with a small letter. Okay, so now suppose if my class name is, suppose my class name is anything like hello friend Indore. Okay, suppose this is the class name. Consider it, this is not a class name. So what is the syntax I need to follow? Hello friend Indore. Hello friend, hello Indore friend. Suppose anything. Type it fast. Like if it is a class name, hello friend Indore. How you can write it? How you can write it? Hello friend Indore. Type it fast. If it is a class name, how you can write it? Hello friend Indore is a class name. Suppose I need to declare a class whose name is hello friend Indore. Then how I write this class name? Definitely, very good Prakash, very good Vishakha. Okay, no Shashwat, it's incorrect. Hello friend Indore will not use space. Okay, there is no space between the name of the class. Like hello friend Indore is in the continuation. Okay, there is no space is there. Okay, so very nice. And suppose if it is a method name, then H is in small letter, right? So but there is no space. Like okay, so this time I'll consider my class name as a test. Okay, so I hope you understood like what does it means, why Java use camel convention. Every language use convention. Even Python use convention in their own ways. Java use camel convention. So every moment I'll show you, like in Java will not find any class whose name starts with a small letter. Will not find any method in Java whose name starts with capital letter. Will not find any package in Java who is having a capital letter. Every package name in Java consists small letters. So Java followed convention every moment. Every moment we'll see the conventions in Java, like in method name, in class name, in package name, in variable declaration. Okay, so now I hope you understood. Okay, so now in this class test we have to write a method. Okay, we have to write a method which is my driver method. You know what is a driver method? Like once, this is what the source code we have, right? So once I provide this source code to compiler, okay, once I provide this source code to compiler, okay, so now how compiler get this message, like from where this compiler starts the compilation? Okay, at least we have to specify that, okay, from here you have to start the compilation, right? So even not for a compiler, okay, see, exactly, okay, I'll change this word because without main in Java even we can write a code, right? So I'll explain you, just wait for a minute. So in this class test we required a driver method. We required a driver method from where exactly the execution will start by JVM, not by the compiler. Okay, not by the compiler, because in Java main is not executed by compiler, main executed by JVM. So what does it mean? I'll explain you, don't worry about this, right? But in Java we required a method from where JVM start the execution. So in Java that method is called main. Okay, now again, sir, why the method name is main, not others, right? Java people actually consider that if anyone come from background of C and C++, right? So in C and C++, actually they consider multiple things in their mind at the time of developing a Java, right? Because like every language, Java also use a driver method, right? So it may be like they use any another name, right? It may be like they use a method name is hello or something, but they use the same like what C and C++ people did. Main, because because they consider it like if any people come from C and C++ background, so they will not face any problem. Like in main, we have in C and C++ also the same name they use in Java also, right? So in Java we have to write class test, and inside this class test, okay, see, if someone of you having any knowledge of Java, then definitely, okay, you will shock with this statement, like, sir, how this is not the right statement to write main in Java. We have to write something something public static something. I'll cover each and every concept, so please don't get any confusion in your mind. Okay, so class test, and this main is what? Main is exactly in Java is a driver method. Driver method means from here Java program starts execution. Okay, again listen it important concept, like we use main method as a driver method in Java if we are writing a code in Java for console application or for desktop application. We never use main in Java for web application. Okay, we never write main method in Java if we are using any web application in Java. That is a later on part, but yes. Okay, so main in Java is a driver function. Okay, so here we have to write main and see this one, main, and then okay, then it's okay, done. Class test. Java not allowed to write anything as outside the class. So even to print hello in Java, we have to write our driver method inside the class only. So this is what the basic syntax. Okay, there are a lot of error in this code right now. Don't try to write this code right now in your machine, because there are a lot of code is there. I'll cover each and every topic step by step, right? So class name. Okay, then main. Okay, now one important thing. Okay, I'll change this statement later on, but one most important thing, your class which consists main method. Okay, remember it, because it is not at all necessary that every class of Java consists a main method. But if your class is having a main method, then your program name, like once you save this program, then your program name and your class name is same. You have to save this program with test name. Okay, like everywhere, like suppose in C drive we have a folder called data flare. Okay, create your own folder, because from here to end of this session I'll create at least more than 200 programs, more than 200. Okay, so if you want to collect all this program together, write every program in a one folder. Okay, so create one folder in your drive, C drive, D drive, E drive, F drive. Okay, and save every program in that particular folder only. Okay, so see, class name test, so the same name you have to provide your program also. Okay, that class which consists a main method. Okay, in the class where we have a main method in Java, the name of your program and name of this class is exactly same. Exactly same. Okay, like T is a capital, so this class name is also a capital, like, right? So I hope you understood. So sir, why this rule is there? Okay, I'll explain you this. Don't worry about this. If suppose I'll change the name, so is any error occur? Yes, this time it is an error, but yes, it is also possible that if you make a name different, so your program will execute successfully. Don't worry about this. I'll explain you that concept also. But this is the first program, so please follow certain rules. Okay, the name of the program and name of the class must be same. Okay, and you know Java is a case sensitive language. Case sensitive means Java make a difference between small letter and capital letter. Java is not like HTML. Java is not like SQL. Okay, if you have any knowledge of HTML or SQL, in HTML there is no case sensitiveness is there, right? HTML, any command you can write in uppercase, lowercase, that's okay. But Java is a case sensitive language, right? You have to be take care of small letter and capital letter here, right? So class test main is there. Okay, the name of the program is test.java. And the same is the class name, class test we have. Okay, so now this is what the class now we have. Okay, so now suppose if I done this program, okay, then sir, my source code is done. Suppose, okay, if I completed this source code, okay, again there is a lot of error, I'm telling you, right? Lot of error, lot of things we need to add in this main, right? But now see, again there is a different, like in C++, if you have any knowledge, then in C++ we terminate the class with semicolon. We terminate the class with semicolon, right? But in Java, we do not terminate any class with semicolon. So semicolon is not required to terminate any class. Okay, this is for those people who is having a C++ background. Okay, so now when I completed this source code, what is the next step I need to do? I need to compile this program. I need to compile this program. Okay, please wait till end so that you will get a clarity like why the class name and program name is same. Means again, this is a very important question, sir. Why is this so like class name and program name must be in same? Okay, so there is a reason. I'll explain you. Don't worry about this, right? So once I completed this code, okay, then I need to compile this program. So since it is a console based application, okay, and you are actually you wrote your code in Notepad. You use Notepad as an editor, and Notepad is not a Java editor. Okay, so there is no compile or execution command available in Notepad. Okay, so after completion of your code, like suppose, if you completed this code, okay, then you have to open your command prompt. Okay, then you have to open your command prompt, and in this command prompt you have to open your folder, which is in my case it is data flare, and here we have a source code. So to compile this program, simply we need to write java c test.java. Now listen it very carefully, right? Java c test.java, right? So when I compile this program, this is a very much important interview question. Please listen it very carefully, right? Java c test.java, when I compile this program, okay, this program will show error, don't worry about this, right? But suppose if this method name is not main, suppose if I'll write void display instead of main, if I'll write void display, suppose in interview if they will ask you, can we compile a Java program without main? So if someone is having a C and C++ background, there is a definitely question comes in mind, sir, without main how it is possible that we write a code, right? So if suppose instead of main, if I'll write class test, why I use this void, don't worry about this, I'll explain you. These are some syntax we need to follow, okay, but I'll explain you, like void display. So suppose now if I compile this code, so is any error is occur at the time of compilation? No error will occur. Okay, definitely your program will compile this code and creates test.class file. Okay, there is no error occur if you compile this code. Sir, why? Because why there is no error? Because we don't have any main method inside this class. So how your program is compiled? This is a very big question. Okay, so listen it very carefully. In Java, main is not executed by compiler. In Java, main is not executed by compiler. Again, I am repeating, in Java, main is not executed by compiler. Main execute by JVM. In Java, main is executed by JVM, not by compiler. So compiler only here check the syntax error. Compiler doesn't bother about where your class is having method name is main or display or any else. Compiler will never think about it, right? Because main is not executed by Java by compiler, okay? Main executed by JVM. So if I compile this code without main, it executed perfectly. But yes, the next step is what? After compilation, your program converted into bytecode. Okay, now bytecode is generated. My program name is test.java. Okay, when I compile this code using Java C command, it converted bytecode and create a file test.class. Okay, and definitely you will find this file in this folder. Now there are two files, test.java and test.class, right? So now the next task is what? Next task, we have to provide this bytecode to JVM. The next task is that we have to provide this bytecode to JVM and we instruct to JVM, okay boss, now start your execution. So JVM required .class file. Right? So how I will provide this bytecode to JVM? Okay, now the next step we need to call JVM. So the another step we need to follow to run this program. Okay, again you have to go to this command prompt and see if there is no syntax error in your application. So just after Java C command, it again drop you the same place like CDF. Okay, but if there is any syntax error, if there is any syntax error in your code, you will get this syntax error here only. Like if suppose any syntax error, semicolon missing, anything, right? All syntax error shown by the compiler, right? So the task of please better try to understand. The task of compiler is to check the syntax error and converts your source code into bytecode. That's it. Compiler will never bother about main method. Okay, for compiler it is a class. It is in proper syntax. Okay, so that compiler will convert this complete source code into bytecode and creates a .class file. I hope you understood. Okay, if any doubt till now, let me take a break of 2 minutes for question and answer. Okay, and then I'll continue. Okay, so if you have any doubt till now related with this, okay, don't ask me anything outside, okay, related with this. Okay, so no doubt till now. So let me continue. Okay, so now let me show you, like, so this is what the display method we have. Okay, so now when I run this code, so to run this program, okay, we have to write the same, we have to write a command, Java command. Java exactly in exe file we use for run the Java program, right? So to compile a Java program, we simply write javac test.java, but to run the Java program, simply we have to write Java test. No need to use dot class, because JVM is a smart software. JVM only execute a file whose extension is dot class, right? So no need to use dot class extension with this JVM, right? So simply you have to write Java test. Java test, right? So this time your program will shows an error. This time definitely there is an error in your code, because once you run this program, okay, you specified the file name test. You specified the file name, which is exactly test.java, right? So now the task of the JVM is what? JVM will search main method inside this test. JVM search main method inside this test, because there was an instruction given to JVM like start to convert byte code into machine code. Start to convert byte code into machine code, okay, from the line where main is there. So that's why main executed by JVM, not by compiler. So if there is no main in this test.class, okay, because once you write this statement Java test, so you call JVM and you instruct JVM, boss, please execute main method. So once I use Java test, exactly JVM starts an execution of main. So if now JVM not found any main, it shows an error. So to run the Java program, main is compulsory. But to compile the Java program, main is not compulsory. This is the very most important question asked in interview. They will simply ask you, okay, if there is, suppose if you are trying to make a console application in Java, okay, they will ask such type of a question, right? This is one of the TCS question. They actually asked an interview. Okay, like suppose you are trying to create a console application in Java and there is no main in your class. So is your program is compiled successfully? Yes. But is this program run successfully? No, because at the time of compilation, compiler don't need main function, but yes, JVM compulsory required main function, because this is what the JVM task. Now another important question, sir, how this main is executed by JVM? So there is a long story, okay, because a lot of things we need to write with this main, okay, but yes, it is for sure that, see, why the main is compulsory required in the file whose name is test. Now I hope you understood like why I suggested this thing, like a class which consists main, a class which consists main, okay, this class name and program name must be same, because once you provide the dot class file, okay, JVM will search main inside this class, because JVM start their execution from main only, right? Now the next important question is that, sir, how JVM execute this main method? Please try to listen. These are the very important concept, being a beginner, being a fresher, okay? So now suppose if I write main method here, okay, so how JVM starts main execution, right? Now see, suppose this is, okay, I'm not considering any background for you, but see, this is what the exactly case if you have any knowledge of any object oriented programming language, because you know, okay, just leave it, okay, just leave it, because some of the people don't have any background, but this question is for those people who is having a background of C++. Okay, if suppose any method is inside a class, If any method belongs to inside a class, what is the rule to call this method? How I access this method? What the next step I need to do? What is the next step I need to do to call this method? If suppose I need to execute this method, I want to execute this method, I want to call this method for an execution, any purpose. So what is the next step I need to do for that? Okay, as per your C++ knowledge, suggest me, if any method belongs to any class, then how to call this method? Anyone? Exactly. Through an object, definitely. Okay, you need to create object of this class. You need to create object of this class, right? So this rule is applicable for me. This rule is applicable for you. And this rule is applicable for JVM also. You see, JVM is a software, that's okay. But rule follow by JVM also. Because see, this method main belongs to a class. So if anyone want to access this method, that is compulsory to create object. So if JVM, see, you know, in next step, JVM want to execute this main method, right? Because once I write Java test, JVM starts an execution of main. Okay. So for JVM, even it is compulsory to create object of this class test. Please try to understand. Without creating an object, because you know that is a rule of object-oriented programming. No one in the world will execute this method without creating an object. That is the first rule. But there is a second rule also. Even without creating an object, we call this method. There is a second rule, right? But see what JVM, you know what JVM told me, sir, I am not going to create any object. So that I'll say, okay, then how you can call this method? If you don't want to create an object, then how you call this method? So you know, in C++, we have another approach. Okay, I'm not talking about friend function. Okay, in C++, again, this is a question for those people who is having a background of C++. But if you are a fresher, you can easily understand this, right? In C++, we have another rule, another option to call a method which belongs to a class without creating an object. If I want to call this method without creating an object of the class, anyone is having any knowledge? Like how to call this method in C++ without creating an object? I'm not talking about friend function. Yes, type fast. No. Means there is no option or you don't have any knowledge. Means without creating object, can we call method of a class in C++? If it is a public, okay, if it is a public, definitely. Yes, there is an option. Make this method static. So once you declare a method as a static method, you can directly call this method with the class name. You can directly call the method with the class name, okay? No need to create object of the class. So you know, once JVM execute this main method, okay, because you know main executed by JVM. So if JVM execute this method, once you write, please focus on this statement. Once you write Java test to run this program, you know what is the internal meaning of this statement? The internal meaning of this statement is Java test.main. This is what exactly the internal code. Like once we write Java test, internally it converted Java test.main. That means main executed by JVM, main called by JVM with class name, not with object name. I hope you understood this. Always JVM, see, first thing is clear, main executed by JVM, not by the compiler. So if your class is having a main method or display method or XYZ method, compiler don't bother about this. Compiler only check the syntax as error. Main required by JVM, main executed by JVM. So once I run this program, your JVM will search main inside this class and it call this main method with class name. Like once I write Java test, the internal meaning of this Java test is Java test.main. That means main called by JVM with the class name. Got it? So if main called by JVM with the class name, you have to declare this main in Java as an static main. So simply we need to write a keyword like static. Okay, static main. We have to write a static main, right? So main in Java always declared as an static method. Initially, there are multiple ways to write a Java main method. Okay, I'll explain you about this concept later on. But this is again a most important interview question, like why we declare main as a static method in Java. You know, actually, I have seen so many students like they memorize all this thing. Okay, in Java we write public static void main. Okay, in C++ we write void main, in Java we write public static void main. But when I ask them, okay, why we make this main as a static method, then they don't have anything. Sir, this is the syntax. Why this syntax is there? Why we write main as a static method in Java? We write main as a static method in Java. Is it okay? Let me ask you one question. If main is not static in Java, suppose, again this is an important interview question, right? If main in Java is not static, is this program is compiled or not? Is this program is compiled or not? If main is not static in Java, is this program is compiled? Yes or no? Type fast, type fast. We have a very less time now. Okay. No or yes? I want answer fast, fast, fast. If main in Java is not static, your program compiled successfully. Your program compiled successfully because, see, the same answer. Main is there in class or not, that doesn't matter, that doesn't bother by compiler, right? But to make, it's why I make this main as a static method for JVM. Okay, so for JVM we have to write static void main. For JVM, we have to write this statement, static void main, right? So why I use this static keyword? I hope now you have a clear clarity. Why we make this main as a static method in Java? Okay, now next thing. You know, this JVM, you know, in C++, once, okay, again, this is for the people who is having a background. If you don't have, don't consider it as an example, right? In C++, if suppose I declare any method inside a class, okay, if I declare any method inside a class in C++, what is the default type of this method? What is the default type of this method? In C++, suppose if I declare any method inside a class, then what is the default type of this method? Default type of this method, whether it is public or private or protected. In C++, this method is by default private. It's a private, right? But in Java, once I write any method inside a class, it is not private, it is not public, it is not protected. It is default public. It is default public, right? Now, what does it mean? It is a default public method. Okay, this main, okay, where is main? Where our main is gone, right? This main in Java is default public. It is not public. Okay, where is the main gone, boss? Yes. Okay, no, this is not the main. Yes, this one. Okay, so this main in Java is a default public method. It is not public. There is a big difference between public and default public in Java. What is that difference? Okay, let me show you. Okay, no doubt this topic I'll cover in my upcoming session, like package. You know, in Java, please, like, you know, I need to add one more word here, like public. So why I make this main as a public method? Again, this is an important question, because this time this main is not private, because in Java every method of class is default public. There is a big difference between public and default public. Java is having one more extra specifier, default public is there, right? So what does it mean? What is the difference between public and default public? Okay, listen it very carefully, right? So in Java, every method of a class is default public, right? See, what exactly the hierarchy in Java. Please listen it very carefully. To understand this public keyword, you have to understand this concept. Okay, so in Java, every method belongs to a class. Every method in Java must be inside a class. It is a rule. Okay, and every class must be a member of packages, right? I'll explain this concept, don't worry. Like every method in Java belongs to a class and every class belongs to a package. Okay, now listen it carefully. Now suppose, please listen it very carefully. Okay, now suppose we have two packages, like package 1 and package 2. Okay, this time we have a package 1 and package 2. Okay, so this package consists of class A. Okay, this package consists of class A. This class A is having a method called display. Okay, let me take a break of a minute, okay, for drink a drop of water, and then I'll explain you. Okay. Okay, so I hope this you have a clarity this time. If you have any doubt, then please type in chat box. Okay, so now suppose this class A is having a display method, like void display. In this class A we have a method void display. Okay, so see this, what is the scenario? This class A is having a method void display, right? Now suppose there is another class in the same package, class B. Okay, so if I want to access this display method inside this class B, so it is a very simple. Okay, if it is a private method, then I'm not able to access this, right? Like we have a modifier. Okay, so this class A is having a display method. Suppose in this class A, this display is a private. If it is a private method, okay, so if it is a private, that means you are not able to access this display method even in second class of the same package. Please try to understand, right? If I want to access this display method in this class B, which belongs to same package, if it is private, then it is not possible that we access this display method in second class of the same package. If I want to access this, I'll have to remove this private word. So if it is not private, that means now the accessibility of this method is possible in the second class which belongs to same package, because it's the default public. Default public means public but for same package. Public for same package. If it is private, then this method won't access outside the class. But if it is default public, that means easily I access this method in this class B, because it's a default public. But if I am trying to access this method in a class C which belongs to package 2, so this is an error. This is an error because this method is a default public. Default public means public but within a package only, not outside the package. Please listen it very carefully. So if I want to access this display method outside the package, we have to make this public. We have to make this public. Public means now it is accessible anywhere. Within a class, outside the class, within a package, outside the package. Okay, so if I want to access this method outside the package, we have to use this public keyword. If I use private, that means it won't allow to access even in second class of the same package. If it is default public, that means anywhere in the same package you access this method, but not outside the package. What's my point? But if it is public, that means you access this method anywhere. Protected is a quite different thing that is related with inheritance. Right now there is no need of protected concept, right? So I hope you understood like what is the difference between public and default public. So now see this one. We have a main in class, right? But this main want to access by JVM, because once I write this command java test, okay, this main try to access by JVM with the class name. So main access this main, sorry, JVM access this main by class name. So I'll make it as an static. Please listen it very carefully. But see, JVM is not in the same package where I put this class. JVM is in some another package, and my class is in some another package, right? And JVM want to access this method. So let me allow JVM to access this method. So JVM will only able to access this method which belongs to a different package when this method is a public method. So this public means now JVM is having an access authority of this main method, because JVM belongs to a different package and this class belongs to a different package. See the same scenario. Okay, see the same scenario. Yes, this one. Suppose JVM belongs to this package. Okay, JVM is a different software which belongs to in different package, and our main method is in different class and different package. If JVM want to access this main, it is only possible for JVM when this method is public method. So why we use public static void main? Void is a return type. Void is a return type of this main method. I'll explain about this return type later on. Don't worry about this. And one more thing we need to write inside this main, which I have not yet explained that concept. This is called command line concept, right? This is called command line. So exactly syntax of main in Java is something like this. It's a first syntax. There are a lot of syntaxes are there. Okay, like I'll explain you. Like this is again an important interview question. How many types we write main method in Java? There are a lot of different ways to write main method, but the standard syntax is this. Sir, what is this statement? Right now, only you are able to understand this is called command line argument. Later on, I'll explain you what does it means, like what is command line argument. This time, if you are a fresher, so you are not able to understand in first lecture what is the meaning of this command line arguments. I'll explain you later on. Don't worry about this, right? Important is that with this, from the last half an hour, which I'll explain you. Now, I hope you have a clarity, like why we use public, why I make this main as an static method. Okay, and void is a return type. So public and static keyword exactly we use for JVM, not for compiler. This main is a public or private or protected or default public. Compiler don't bother about this, because main in Java executed by JVM, not by compiler. So JVM call this, so that will make this method as a public. JVM access this main by class name, because this main is a member of a class. So if anyone want to access this main, that must be create an object, or there are two ways to access the class method of a class, either after creating an object or by class name. So JVM always execute main method, or JVM always calls main method with the class name, and that's the reason we make this method as a static method. So I hope you have a clarity now what is public static void main. Now the next statement, sir, is how to print welcome in Java. We have not yet write any code to print the statement, right? Again, it will take around 40 to 45 minutes to me explain what exactly system.out.println method. So I'll cover this concept in my next session. Till now, please be focused on what we discussed. Okay, like what is public, what is static, what is void, what exactly the concept, like how to compile the Java program. Okay, how JVM execute this main method, and then later on I'll explain you to print. We write system.out.print. But what does it means? Like why we use system, why we use out? Okay, what does it means? That all concept like system, out, print, there are two method, print and println. That all concept I'll explain in my upcoming session. But yes, again I'm repeating you, if you want me to continue this lecture, okay, spread it with your friends, circulate with your friends, share with your friend. Okay, because you know, until and unless I don't have a crowd, it won't be possible for me to do that much efforts. Okay, so share this course with your friends. Okay, and if you have any doubt, type in chat box. Okay, so I'll cover your question right now, okay? Or if you find any question later on, then you can drop a mail to me or WhatsApp me, okay, anytime. So now let me check. Sir, from which IIT you are? I am not from IIT, man. System.out.println. Hello word. Yes, Vishakha, I'll explain this concept, like what is the difference between print and println method. Out is actually called output stream. You know, it takes me around 40 minutes to explain this one line. Because you know, in this time I'll explain like what is stream. Because these are the very most important interview question. Only to remember system.out.println is not Java. Only to remember public static void main is not Java. Okay, so you have to go in depth of this statement. Like once I write system.out is an object, but this is called output stream. So in Java we use three types of stream: output stream, input stream, and error stream. So I'll explain you all this concept, like what does it means, like what is stream, what do you mean by output stream, what is the meaning of input stream and error stream, and then why we use system. Okay, so that all concept I'll explain you. Okay, don't worry, in next class. Sir, but we did not downloaded anything. Okay, you have. In what sense you are asking me? Flow or data or stream in simple words. Okay, difference between JavaScript and Dart. Okay, Vishakha, it won't be possible for me to explain in the Java session, but yes. Okay, I'll explain you like a difference, and next time definitely I'll explain you, because this is a Java session. So if I'll go with this different like JavaScript and Dart, so it will take around again half an hour me to explain all this thing. But yes, drop your queries, so I'll answer by mail. Okay, so don't worry. So it's okay now. So I'll catch you in the next lecture. But see, before moving to next lecture, if you have any doubt, rewind this video. Means this video is available on YouTube. You can easily access this. Okay, but listen it again very carefully, because each and every concept what we discussed in today's session is the most important. Okay, even 5 to 10 interview question already I covered in this 2 hours lecture, right? So let's meet in the next lecture, and then we'll do practical. Definitely next class I'll do practical. Even I committed you in the last video also. But see, this is what this means. Once you are in live session, so time is not a matter. And see, once I'll teach Java, then for me important is the concept. Like I teach in my own way, so it is not at all like I told it in last lecture that we'll do practical. So these are the important concepts you need to understand. Practical is okay, we'll do anytime, so not a big task. But you know, once okay, we install Java and everything, we open a notepad, but until unless you don't know what we need to write in notepad, then no need to use the installation, right? So we do all this thing practically, don't worry about this. But I hope this concept is clear to now till now. But still we need to understand like what is system.out.println. Later on in my next session I'll explain you all this concept. Okay, and definitely next session I'll do one practical session. Okay, when half an hour, 1 hour we'll do practical. So I'll do all these things practically, like installation and all those things, but that is not that much important. Important is this one. Okay, practical will take around, installation will take around 5 minutes. Okay, not more than that. So I hope now you have a clear clarity. So I'll catch you in the next lecture. Till then, take care. Tata, bye bye, good night.